Hello, everybody, and welcome back to another episode of the Joypad Podcast. I am one of your hosts, Michael Fleming, here tonight. With me, typically, as always, is Tom and Mr. Michael Pinto. Nice to see you both. Megan is not available again. Unfortunately, it's been a busy first half of the year for her, but hopefully she'll be filling in or jumping in here soon in a week or two. That would be exciting and nice. Anyway, enough about who's here today. Let's see how they're doing. Let's start with Tom. Tom, how are you doing? What are you playing? What you drinking? How is life? All the great questions.
Doing all right. Not great. As I mentioned earlier, I had a technical related injury. I got a new monitor for my desktop setup up here. And as I was moving one monitor to replace one on a spring-loaded arm downstairs, I was taking that monitor off. And be careful, boys and girls at home, because as I took that monitor off, it sprung up and smacked me in the lip. So if I look like I have a fat lip on YouTube, it's because I do. I'm not going to show you the inside of my lip because it's split and it's gross and it's swollen and it doesn't feel good. But I told the mics as we were getting started, I was very worried that it would have knocked out my two front teeth because I definitely felt it there. But my teeth are sturdily in place, and I'm very thankful for that right now. So yeah, a little bit of I don't know, gratitude that my own ineptitude didn't cause me an injury. There's actually an NFL player by the name of Cody Mauch who was just drafted this past NFL draft, and you may have seen his picture. He is a redheaded man he's a big offensive lineman with red hair, long red hair, and he is missing his two front teeth, and that was the only thing I could think of in the moments where I was worried that I lost mine. So I'm glad I'm not him. Other than that, it's been a busy week, so I haven't been doing too much gaming. I have gotten a little bit of Stardew in. I did play a bit of Madden, actually. Not too much. Both of those games, I'm kind of having I have a minute to myself. Let me fire this up, play a little bit, see how I feel. And then normally my feelings are like, oh yeah, that's what this game is. And then I stop. I'm trying to think if there's really been much more outside of the games that we've played as a group, which I will not steal the thunder of. But we have gotten together on a couple separate nights to play a couple different games, which has been pretty nice. I have enjoyed that when I haven't slept through it because I've been very tired lately. But yeah, that's kind of the state of the gaming situation there. The other piece I can talk about briefly is, and I was discussing this before the call as well, I'm working on a tabletop RPG campaign, and I'm trying to investigate using Roll20 for that. I have not used Roll20 as a game master, dungeon master forever. So I've only ever used it as a player to move around and do things. But investigating this is a game that I play with my friends from Texas that we have been running games for the past 6 years at this point. So this is the first one I'm running with them, and I'm looking forward to that. We're going to be playing Starfinder, which I don't know if I've discussed before on the podcast. But my good friend Nate introduced me to this game, which is made by the same people as Pathfinder, which is an alternative to D&D. But Starfinder is a sci-fi setting. So essentially the whole idea is that you take everything that is the D&D mechanics and try and translate it kind of like to a sci-fi world. There's a really interesting backstory to all of it that I'm throwing out the window and creating my own. But the backstory they have essentially is that there's a number of alien races. There is a warp travel mechanism, and I forget exactly what it's called. It's called a drift drive. That's what it is. So there's a space, there's some extraplanetary void where ships kind of enter this drift, and it enables them to move faster than light to different positions, but it also sucks away some of the life and time from like that universe when it's used. And whether or not this is the cause of it, there's like centuries of time that just passed that everyone in the universe has forgotten. So a lot that kind of just goes hand in hand with that, and it's an event called the Gap. So it's a very interesting base setting. There's a lot of cool aliens and stuff. I've worked out a lot of my own stuff because that's what I like to do, and I'm really excited to get that game started and going. And I've been playing around a lot. I think I've showed you guys. I've been working with AI image creators and my own abilities in Photoshop to create some portraits of characters that I want to use in that game as well. So I've been getting a lot of kind of my video game satisfaction from doing the work associated with that when I'm not actually playing games. And the other thing I would bring up is I just got a couple new board games, which God knows how long it'll be before I actually get to play them. I would still like to have you guys over for a board game night. We just haven't had much time because we've all been busy. But I got Mage Night because there was a deal on that, and I've always wanted to have Mage Night. And then I had done the Kickstarter for the Witcher board game, which is called The Witcher: The Old World, and I got the deluxe edition of that. So that just came. That was satisfied relatively quickly through Kickstarter, which is nice. It looks very pretty, has great miniatures, and I'm excited for that one too. So, yep, that is it for me. I will throw it over to Pinto. How are you, sir? What are you having as a beverage? And how has your gaming life been? What you up to? How you doing?
I'm doing all right. I'm currently drinking the latest seasonal flavor of Mountain Dew. It's very blue. I'm holding it up to the
Pumpkin
camera.
spice.
It's very blue. It's called. Let me pull up the bottle here. Mountain Dew Summer Freeze, and it's made to taste like the firecracker pops. You know, the red, white, and blue ones.
That
Not
makes
great.
sense.
It's
Not great.
I mean, it's okay, but like,
No live wire.
It's no live wire. It's definitely no Code Red. It's no Baja Blast. But
Oh, please never say that.
oh, sorry, Baja Blast.
Listen, this is a great day in American history because the quesarito has returned. We need not
Besmirch the name of
disgrace
Baja Blast.
the Baja Blast. Yes.
Well, yes, I'm drinking Mountain Dew Summer Freeze, and it's okay. And I'm also drinking water because there's probably enough sugar in here to, yep, 122% of my daily recommended value in one bottle. Nice. So I will dilute that a bit with some good old water. Gaming-wise, it's really just been Resident Evil 4 Remake still. I have beaten it. I enjoyed it greatly. I have put a very large amount of time into it in a very short period of time. I think I would say, like, it doesn't all count because I'm sure there are moments where I would, like, pause the game and walk away and it still logs time in, you know? But it's about 45 hours. And I did say, you know, I restarted the game several times, so that has something to do with it. But it's just a really, really good action game. In terms of being scary, you know, I think it gets ruined a little bit because it does still lean much more towards action than horror. And also, I played the original, so they definitely changed some things I'm totally okay with, you know, changing character backstories a bit and things like that. It feels like with the remakes that they've done so far, 2, 3, and 4, they're kind of, I don't want to say retconning the Resident Evil universe, but rewriting some stuff about it, and I'm okay with that. It's kind of like how they're rebooting Mortal Kombat already after they, you know, it was only 3 games ago that they rebooted it, and they're rebooting it again. So
It's Mortal Kombat's a franchise that can't live without being rebooted.
Yeah.
If I'm going to be honest.
I spoke about this with Megan. I think it's just because people don't like change, which we all know. So once you start getting away from the established characters, you know, your Liu Kangs and your Johnny Cages, and you start trying to introduce new characters, people aren't going to flock to those new characters like they do the old ones. They did an okay job. Like, people like Cassie Cage and, wow, she's the only one I can remember. Oh, Kotal Khan. Like, some of those characters people liked, but they're not, they're not the classic characters. So
Well, and there's only like so much you can do with the classic characters that are there, which are, I'm assuming, the bulk of the cast before you reboot everything, or you introduce like 20 new characters that everyone's going to go, what, over?
yeah, that's what happened. Like the PlayStation 2 era Mortal Kombat games, where people consider them a dark time, where they were like, no one knew who the characters were, and they were just kind of like rip-offs of the main characters, so they were trying to replace the main characters. The new characters were the old characters with different names and different appearances, basically.
Frost, anyone?
Frost, I can't remember most of them, to be honest. And that proves my point. Beyond Resident Evil 4, Tom, thanks to you, I started booting up Stardew Valley again. I had to update most of my mods because it's been a couple months since I was serious into Stardew. And so, we both have been using Stardew Expanded. Great mod. And at this point I was like, you know what, I'm going to add in like the extra town mods I've seen hanging around, East Scarp Village and Ridgeside Village. And you guys both know that when you start Stardew Valley, the first quest you have is to meet everyone and talk to everyone. And it's like, you've met this many people, I have this many people. With all of those mods installed, the Introduce Yourself quest, you have to meet 71 people.
Holy shit.
And I was like, it's not gonna happen in the first day, that's
Take your
for
time.
sure.
Take your time.
Yeah. Ridgeside Village adds a town just as big as Stardew.
Holy
or as
crap.
Pelican Village, pretty much. It's like a completely populated village. And it's got all new marriage candidates, new events, and all that stuff. So, I played one day. I played the first day, and I was like, this is going to be an endeavor that I have to steel myself for, and I'm not sure if I'm ready for it yet, so I haven't jumped back in quite yet.
Did you install mods so that you can still alcohol?
Yeah.
Hell yeah.
Yeah, I did. And, like, I'm kind of trying to figure out what game I really want to dive into next. I don't know if Stardew's going to be it. I still have to play Breath of the Wild. I never finished Horizon, the first one. What's it called? Zero Dawn.
Yeah.
So,
I never finished that one either.
Yeah, I don't know.
All Mother's a door.
They're All Mother's a door. I do know that. I got that far. I don't know. The gaming oyster is open before me right now, and I'm not quite sure what pearl I'm going to pluck out of it. So
We can get more into this later, but I mean, I always kind of feel a bit of analysis paralysis when I look at my collection before me and I'm deciding to try a game to play. So.
Yeah, and like not to get too blue, but like I am once again currently unemployed, so I have time to play games, and I'm still like, I don't know what game to play. So it's weird. One of the biggest complaints we've had is not having enough time, and there's time now, and I still don't know what to do.
That was the entire week I had off between jobs. It's not just you. That's a regular phenomenon, just so you know.
All right. And as mentioned, we have been playing some games together, but I'll let our host talk about that since he's the host. Mr. Fleming, I know you're tired, but how you doing? What you drinking? What you been playing beyond the games we've been playing together?
Yeah, I am very tired today. You guys couldn't hear me because I left the Skype call to debug, but my camera wasn't working after I had just set the whole thing up, and like I set it up on time, maybe a minute behind because I got the Skype call as I was like putting it onto the tripod, and then like it doesn't work. I'm just like, so I've been very tired, and I have not played any solo games in a week, and by that, well, I'll caveat that no games that we have not played together.
Yeah.
That's partially due to time. Saturday from 8 in the morning or 9 in the morning to about 10 o'clock at night, I was out, or I was watching a parent like thing because my wife's pregnant. I think I told people that on the podcast, but if I didn't,
You were at a seminar?
well, it was an online
Lamaze.
one. It was an online one, and like it was from 9 to 4:30, I think it was, or 8:30 to 4:30. It was the whole day. And like this is gonna sound awful, but I'm the dude, and like I don't need to know exactly what a contraction's gonna feel like. You know?
But the idea
Yeah, but
is
the
to garner
sympathy.
sympathy, yes.
I know, but if my wife says she's having them, then my wife says she's having them. Like, okay.
You're not gonna question her.
Yeah,
That's-
exactly.
How
Exactly. So
how
it's-
many times did they say, and there is a 95% chance your wife will poop while giving birth?
They didn't mention that at all.
Oh,
I think
really?
it's almost 100%.
I'll tell you, it was hard to get through that whole day, but I did it.
I stopped
didn't fall
paying
asleep.
attention around 9 a.m.
No, but I mean that's just an example. I've just had work's been really busy. 7 to 5 yesterday, or so, about that. But maybe a little later than 5, but it works out to 7 to 5, and it's just been a really long week. So any spare time I had, I've said this on the podcast plenty. If we play a game, or if I'm playing a new game, that's like all I'll play for a little while until I feel like I understand the game. So to jump into the games we were playing, first we played Raft a little bit, which was really good because I hadn't played Raft all week up until yesterday. So that was really nice to get some time to play that. It remains in like, at least as of right this moment, if someone said, what's your like top 10 games that you have played in the past few years, it'd be in the top 5 probably for me. I really like that game a lot. And I know it very well, but I've still technically never beaten it. So I'm hoping we can finish that. Yes, yeah. I'm hoping we get there. And then the other game that we've been playing is the Outlast Trials, or Outlast Trials.
The Outlast
Trials. Yes.
Oh, that's nice. That leaves room so they can do a sequel where they just take the word "the" out of it.
Well, I actually think that game is pretty good, but
they'll just call it more Outlast Trials.
That's probably actually no. It feels like it's going to be one of those games that like stays around for a very long time,
and they just keep adding to it.
They just add to it. They maybe send you to a different facility or something. I don't know.
Yeah, the feel of it is very like Left 4 Dead or like Payday, or those kind of games where it's like 4 people working through a thing. Which I think is why I don't hate it.
Yeah, well, I've definitely played a little extra beyond you guys with like randoms.
That's where I was going to call you out. You said you haven't played any games on your own.
Well, that's no way. I said outside of the games that we've been playing, I have not played any games on my own. So I did play that for a few hours on my own. It's one of those that like I said, I don't like to I like to understand a game completely that I'm playing either with you guys or just in general. Like I don't like to play just a few hours. Like I'm done. So I like new RPGs, for example, and stuff like that have not really interested me because there's no getting better at those kind of games. Whereas like Outlast Trials, I'm able to understand and learn and get better. But I will tell you that there are people out there that are just, it's like the game's been out for 5 or 6 days or something like that, maybe a week now, and it's like there's all these people like, yeah, if we do this and do that, we're done. It's like, okay, that's great, guys.
Is that fun for you? Like,
I don't know, man.
That's almost the point that like, I mean, you knew all the shit in like Payday, right? So like whenever we would play Payday, you knew all the routes, you knew which way to go, you knew which guys, or and they randomized some of it. But like you knew like the optimal strategy to like get a thing done. But like I don't, and it's different, right? Like it's different. There's like certain ways to do certain things in Outlast Trials, and I think it's probably a little less random as well. But like for me, I don't get like a whole lot of satisfaction if I just like know the way to do it in a game like that, because part of the fun of those games is having to endure the struggle. Like, and that's coming from me. I'm the guy that plays things on easy mode.
I was going to say, I'm actually a little surprised to hear you say that.
Yeah, well, I mean, what's the fun in it if you're just like, oh, here's the optimal path. I'm just going to follow this. I know exactly what to do. When it's supposed to be a horror game and you're supposed to have to like figure out challenges on the fly, like that just defeats the purpose in my mind.
I don't disagree, and I definitely like in regards to Payday. I had something like 500 hours in the game, so and also you really do that in stealth, and that's like how I played. I basically played any mission that you could in stealth. So like I learned it all over many hours of playing. Where here it's like it's the AI is actually kind of poor in the game, and that's you guys haven't really seen it too much, but one of the missions is about killing a snitch. I think we were playing that one.
That was the
played that
very
one.
first one, yeah.
Yeah, and you have to electrocute him. And the AI, like the way that you have to electrocute him at the end is like there's 4 different panels, and if you all hold it, it speeds it up. If it's just one of you, it goes at a pretty slow pace. But there could be up to 4 killers that are out on the map, so you all could theoretically be chased. And like basically what I saw is like, let's say one of the killers just off doing whatever, and it's me and some other guy holding the electric button. Like you basically just like one of you just like runs away but keeps the killer like in your target, so the other can just sit there holding the button, and like it just looks weird, like it's just like poor AI. I see people like jump dodging the swings of attackers, and I'm like, for me, it doesn't feel Outlast, actually. It feels like some other kind of game. I'm not sure what, but in Outlast, there was tons of like, oh shit, I'm being chased, and like you run through a village, or like, there's a like you have to hide here because the guy's coming to this door no matter what. That's like a timed thing, and it's probably a single versus multiplayer thing, but that definitely detracts from the game. And then there's also a lot of people in like the world, if you will, who like don't talk. It's a huge problem. Leave the game, like, do weird things like throw bottles where you are so the killer knows to like go check where you're hiding. Like lots of troll stuff, which I'm really surprised by too, because the game is so new. But
surprised by that?
I am because the game is so new. Like in a couple of days, I would be like, yeah, or like a couple of weeks, I'd be like, yeah, people are figuring that stuff out. But like, there's already like Chinese, and I hate to use that, but Chinese character names, or names that I can't, understand what the language is, that are just like coming into the game and just like immediately running and then getting themselves killed and getting all the killers after you right away. There's cans that like make noise and they draw a lot of killers in. They'll just like walk through those, and you're like, what are you doing? You're not even trying in the game. Or if you are, you just are gonna micro away from the guy, and do like AI glitches. So yeah,
these are all reasons why I would never play this game without playing
and that's
with you guys.
that's
basically
what I'm getting to. That's my warning. Don't games like that get ruined very quickly when you play with others. So I've actually done one solo, which makes it so much scarier. But
I was gonna say, I feel like that would make it scarier and also way more difficult.
It is much more difficult, yes, because you got to do everything yourself. I did it on a map I was familiar with, but yeah, it's definitely a different experience by yourself, and also with like people who are less experienced. It's also much different because you don't know where to go. Where these people are like, oh yeah, we got to do this next, then we got to do this. And again, that whole optimal strategy thing, like I don't really like when someone is like charging through because they know that they can outrun the killer to the next, checkpoint, if you will, of the map.
It's like getting power leveled in Diablo. Like when someone who's a million levels ahead of you just takes you into hell and is like, okay, I killed Diablo, you have a title now.
Yeah, okay. You're level 50 or whatever.
What did I do? What experience did I have?
Yep. And if that's your first character experience in Diablo, that's not fun.
Yeah,
that
sucks.
Fun. So, yeah, I don't know how you guys are feeling about the game, but having played it extra, I think it's a decent game, but I wouldn't categorize it as like a great game.
It's also still in early access, though. I don't know how much they're going to be able to improve it, to be honest, but I think the experience of playing it with friends is much, much preferable. Like, I wouldn't even bother trying to play it with random people because I figured it would be exactly like you said, either people that are already way too good at it and treat you like you're a moron because you haven't committed 72 hours to playing the game in its 144-hour lifespan, or just
How dare you?
just jerks. So
Yeah.
I had a great experience playing it with you guys, and if anyone wants to see that, make sure to check out the Joypad YouTube, where our first two attempts at the Outlast Trials are going to be live. As of this recording, the first one will be up already.
Sound the rap horn.
Do-do-do-do.
Oh, hang on.
He has it. He
I
has
do have
it. He
it.
has it somewhere.
The other thing I want to say is, at the end of our second experience, I said something along the lines of, "I hope you enjoy this because I doubt we'll ever be playing it again." And I mostly said that for Tom's benefit, because
Hey.
Tom typically does not like spooky, scary games, and at several points, it did not sound like you were having fun. So I was like, "Oh, well,
That's
A
great.
for effort. I'm glad you tried. Like, I'm glad you experienced it with us." But when you're like, "I'd play it again," I was like, "Ooh, yay!"
Yeah, I actually enjoyed it a lot more than I thought I would. There are times where I'm sure I'd be like having less fun, but ultimately to me it was almost like the experience, and I think I mentioned this while we were recording it, like the experience of going through like a haunted maze or something like that, or a haunted house, where there's like this circuit in my brain that just shuts down and just takes like this cynical, sarcastic approach to everything that gets done to me. So you just hear me go completely flat and be like, "Yep, there's a man stabbing me again.
Yep.
Oh, there's the gas cloud. All right, I'm
And
gonna die."
I do feel like there were some moments that were just kind of bullshit in that
There
game.
were.
Like, almost everything is booby trapped, and that's kind of annoying. Like,
Yeah.
when you open up a chest to grab something and it sprays psychosis gas at you, or you open up a door and an electrified cross impales your chest, or you
Out of
try
fucking
to
nowhere.
or you try to hide and there's already a bad guy in the hiding spot who jumps out and starts punching you, and you're like, "Well, how was I supposed to know that without having played the game first?" Because I feel like there was no real indication to any of those things.
Yeah.
That is a good point, and I completely agree with you that like there was very little to tell you, and the crosses are by far the worst of those, because the way the way I've learned about the crosses is you need to open doors very slowly, and if you hold, at least for us it's mouse one, I don't know about a controller, but for mouse one, when you're opening the door, if you open it slow enough, the cross hits the back of the door and it doesn't hurt you, and then you could open the door the rest of the way. That's the one that I've learned, but it's very difficult. And if you're being chased, how are you supposed to take the time to do that? You can't. And then the killers will close doors that have those. So even if you've opened a door safely or something, if they close it, well, now it's rearmed unless you take out the battery. So that is probably the worst of them all. And there's one where like it's a trap. There's like 6 different pump options. And if you turn the wrong one, it's a trap and it shoots toxic gas in your face. There's no, at least that I have found, identifying marker for what was the trap.
I figured that one out while we were doing it. You had to go to the valve, and then because it was all color coded, so you would go to the valve and you had to look at the pipes and follow the pipes to the correct thing to turn.
Okay, and the other ones are kind of incorrect turn
right
spots?
Because you have to do it in a certain order. It's like A, B, C, D. So if you go to B first and you try to turn it, it's going to spray the poop gas in your face and you're going to get psychosis. Which psychosis also, I think, is an interesting mechanic that they have not yet done enough with, which I think will hopefully change in early access, because really all it does is it drains your life, which, okay, fine, whatever.
No, I don't like that part. That's not okay, whatever, to me.
It doesn't drain your life exactly.
It does if you get full psychosis.
If you're low enough, I think it does.
What happens is the Slender Man who you see in the first, if you see at phase 1 and phase 2 of psychosis, stays permanently, if you will, at phase 3 and chases you. And if he touches you, that's when your HP is going down. So you have to kind of outrun your psychosis until like I think it's like 30 seconds or maybe 20
Or an
seconds.
antidote.
I don't like
40
that.
minutes.
It feels like bullshit to me because it's more interesting to me if it's purely like the auditory and visual hallucinations and it just fucks up your coordination.
Yeah.
Because the rest of the
That's-
game is
yeah.
built to fuck you up. So
Mhm.
if it fucks you up enough, you'll get messed up at that point.
Yeah.
And I think that's better than just straight draining your health from hallucinations
I
or
actually
psychosis.
agree with you. Yeah,
Same here.
I agree with you. That would be a much better mechanic. It would be better if it was like adding voices that are like
Yeah.
not, saying like, hey, here's a med pack, or here's a medicine bottle, or whatever it's called. And then you're like, where is this? And
Yeah.
like that'd be much cooler, because that would
It-
really mess with your
Perception.
understanding of what's happening.
Yeah.
It could even show you walls where doors are or something like
Yeah,
that, or
that's-
make you unable to open doors. That would be
Mhm.
fine. Like I would be fine with something like
That's
that.
what I think they
Simple.
should do with it, honestly, is make it mess with your perception of everything. Because there were some weird moments where, and I'm not sure if it was psychosis that triggered this or if it was something else, where we would see players or characters with our names running around that weren't
Oh,
us, that
yeah.
would like stab each other. Like
That
we
was
were playing with
interesting.
Megan, and she got stabbed by some character that looked like her character and had her gamer tag over her name. Or I had gotten stabbed by Fleming, for example, when it wasn't actually him doing it. So I'm
Yeah.
not sure what causes that, but I think it's a
I think
cool
that was
mechanic.
psychosis.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's not psychosis. That's there's certain I forget their name, but there's certain like not primary killers, but like
Ew.
guys that hide in barrels or chests or whatever. One of them can act like one of you and like become you basically, and then become a killer if you, or become someone that will hurt you like a killer. But yeah, that is a very weird mechanic. My biggest complaint about that one is it never goes away. It just keeps following you until it finally gets to stab you. At least from what
Oh,
I've
really?
seen. It's so
That's dumb.
annoying.
Oh, usually I just get caught and stabbed pretty quickly because my problem with those games is I get startled. So like and also
Yeah.
a lot of times I kind of want to see what happens, at least until I'm kind of used to the mechanics of a game or like the audio visuals of it.
Mhm.
A lot of times in a scary game, I will let myself die just to see like what the representation of that is, or like how it happens. And that's been a thing for a long time in all kind of survival horror games. One of my favorite things was to go on YouTube and watch, for the original Resident Evil 4, compilations of Leon dying, because he always made the same sound when he died. He just went, "Ooh," every
was a
time.
Delightful.
But yeah, I like the Outlast Trials. I wouldn't say I love it yet,
Yeah.
but I want to play it more, and I'm also intrigued to see what else they can do with it being in early access.
I
there-
agree with that. Yeah.
I think there are certain games like that are an elevated group experience. Like we were saying before, most of us really view it that way. I just don't think it would really be fun without having people to talk to. And without it being like my friends. Like if I'm talking to some random person on the internet while playing that game, I'm straight up not going to have a good time. I find a lot of the fun to be in like a lot of the camaraderie that we had. Like you don't have to save
No Man
everyone,
Left
but my
Behind.
God, yes.
We are a very, very No Man Left Behind crew.
Yep. And yeah, I don't know. It's another thing too, where I think it's fun to experience for the first time together. So it's fun to play together, and kind of view the different missions and the different aspects and mechanics for the first time and discover it together. Whereas I think if you get that experience of that power level guy or, whatever you would think of that as, you kind of, it's like a haunted house. If you've seen it before, you know what spooks are coming, right? So if you go through it again, it's probably going to be the same thing. It's probably not going to get you the same way. So, yeah, I'm as surprised as the rest of you that I would be willing to play it again, but I think I'm taking that sort of mentality into it, and I have fun playing as a group. So make of that what you will.
And it's good to have a new group game. to play together, just in general, because sometimes we kind of flounder when we're like, hey, let's play games, and then we're like, yeah, well, what do you want to play?
Yeah. Between
That's
that
true.
and Raft, we've been pretty good lately. But, before that was Played Up, which
I
I
would go
still...
back to Played Up, and I'd
Yeah, I
go
was going to
back.
say,
I'd go
I
back
still
to
love Played
Ultimate
Up.
Chicken Horse as well, always.
Oh, Ultimate Chicken Horse is the old reliable of games we play as a group. Like, it will never get old. Ever. It's the best game ever made.
Yeah, I agree with that. It's almost more like a, board game that you come back to all the time. It's just like, it's super simple rules. It's a lot of fun. It can make you laugh. It can make you cry. So,
And easily. I
And
don't know. I don't know why. It's just so easy to have fun with that game.
Yeah. I also appreciate the fact they continue to update it, because they added whatever the new character was that I already forget.
The turtle.
The
The
turtle.
turtle. Yes, that was pretty
Turdy.
recently.
And they added the new level, which
Yes.
we have not experienced too much because I think we
Metro.
played it day of patch, and it was
It
kind of
was not
glitchy.
stable.
Yeah.
Yeah. But yeah, no, I like the comparison to Payday, and I'm curious to see as we play it more how I feel
Oh.
about that.
I wanted to mention too, like I think my biggest issue with the game is how difficult it is to fight back, and I know that that's an Outlast thing from what you guys have said.
You
not
really
being the horror game
there.
player.
There is no fighting back. Basically,
Yeah.
it's one of those games where the largest amount of fighting back you can do is throwing a brick or a bottle at them, which staggers them for like literally 2 seconds,
Yeah,
enough time to get away.
it like just feels wrong for that to be the case when there might be like one guy going after like 4 people in the same room, and my brain just says like, well, if like one of us leaned into him, got him on the ground, the rest of us could just stomp him out. Like, it's not that hard.
But yeah, that's the same suspension of disbelief you have to have when watching like any scary movie too, where you yell at the scare, you're like, "Don't go in there, don't go in there, you're gonna die."
Oh, they're gonna go in there.
I know, but in the game, you have the control to be like, "I'm not fucking going in there. What are you dumb?"
That's Until Dawn was very good at that. Because you could definitely fuck up and go in places. Same with Heavy Rain.
Yeah,
Or you could make the smart choice,
and not do the thing.
and it worked out well for you if you did.
That's a really interesting comment though about like a true horror game versus the Outlast Trials. That like in Outlast, I remember there were times where I was like, I know I have to go turn on this generator. I know there's a guy with a sword in this basement right after I've had my first couple spooks of the game who is going to chase me if I, get seen or if I make too much noise. And like, I was so scared, but you have to go forward because the game can't progress.
Yep.
That's a very big difference with Outlast Trials where like, I would say the horror of it can quickly go away because you might have someone who really knows the game. You might have someone who's a high level and can like do more stuns because there's like a rig you can equip to stun people, which helps, kind of get to that whole like fight back mentality, or at least disable. So
yeah, and I'm happy if we get access to that. I don't think any of us have gotten a rig yet. I think that'll make the game a little bit better for me.
But
nice.
I have not played with it yet. I did purchase one after Fleming and I played round together the other night, and I was like, I'm getting a rig, but we stopped playing after that, so I have not tried it out yet.
Yeah,
Gotcha.
they don't help as much as you would think either because I got the stun one personally because I thought that looked like my personal favorite, and I got to use it like once, and it takes like 5 minutes to recharge. So it's not very.
Or you could find a rig recharger.
Or you could find a rig recharger. You are correct, but like it's not gonna. It's basically adds an extra brick at least for me in that case. But you can upgrade it over time, and it gets a little stronger. You can recover it a little faster, but it still does not make it perfect. And if you're playing at a high enough difficulty, it's probably not going to make that much of a difference. But we'll see.
Sure.
I don't think, like I said, I don't think I'm probably going to play much on my own anymore, at least with other people, because it's just not a fun experience. Yeah, so that was Outlast.
I think too, like, and this is something I've kind of run into as someone who really likes scary games. It's hard to maintain replayability of a scary game,
Absolutely.
especially if it's like a jump scare game. Like, obviously stuff like the Five Nights at Freddy's franchises, which has a movie coming out this year, with a lot of like really good actors in it too, which I find odd. But something
odd.
like that has found life, even though it's basically all jump scares. And because my problem I found with that game, and I have played several of them, is after a while it ceases being scary and it's more just about strategy. And that's where I feel like a lot of scary games fall into after your first playthrough. Like, even like, take Resident Evil 4, which I love. Not that scary of a game, but there were some moments where it's like, ooh, like, that got me, But the next time I play the game, it's not going to get me again. It's not going to be scary. I'm expecting it. So then it becomes just like, how, a speed run or a challenge run. Like, can I get to the game using only the base weapons without upgrades or something like that,
Does your gameplay hold up?
Pretty much, yeah. That's part of like the Silent Hill games is like I don't know what I want to say, so go ahead.
Well, I was just gonna say that's kind of the issue you run into with the games like Until Dawn, because once you've seen the scares that are coming your way, or what the plot points are, and some of them can vary a little bit while you play. Sure, that's great, but you kind of know what's going to happen. What's your impetus to play again?
Yeah, and I think you said that's something you ran into, and I don't know if it was Until Dawn or it may have been like Detroit Become Human, but like if the first time you play, if you get the ending you want and you're satisfied with it, why would you play it again to get something that's gonna like bum you out? Like, oh well, what happens if this character dies? Like, I don't want to do that. I don't want that character to die. That's why I tried so hard to keep them alive.
Yeah, and I like that about those games, I think, because I think everyone kind of gets at least a slightly different ending in a lot of cases. So, like with Detroit Become Human, I've mentioned this before. Spoiler alert. I didn't realize you could keep Luther alive, but Luther died in my playthrough. And I don't know what I would have had to do to fix that, but he had like a fitting moment. Like, it wasn't like he just nonchalantly died off camera or something like that. The story felt appropriate to a point where I didn't feel that need to go back and change fate and see what would happen. It's more of like maybe I'll look that spot up on YouTube later if I want to kind of thing. Which is good. I actually like that. Like, I like the way Quantic Dream handles those things, and I like the way that you kind of get your playthrough, and then you can kind of discuss it with other people later and be like, oh yeah, no, I did this and this happened. I like that. I think it makes it a talking point, and it makes it a personalized movie game experience, if that makes sense.
Yep. That just made me realize that I own The Quarry. Thanks, Gaming Daddy. Maybe I will play that, and maybe I'll record it, because...
You should play.
Huh. Oh, I don't own that one. Megan owns that one.
You know who you could borrow it from?
I think it's a digital download. I'm pretty sure. Yeah.
Come on, Megan.
I know. Well, here's the thing with that. Someone spoiled that game for Megan.
Oh, really?
And I think, yeah, one of our friends I had dinner with the other night we were talking about those games, and she was saying, like, oh yeah, Megan asked me, like, what the twist was. It's like, why would she do that? Don't do that. Those games always have a twist, and apparently the twist was very disappointing. I'm like, well, I guess I'm going to have to buy the game now and play it. I don't know.
I didn't find the twist disappointing. I liked that game a lot, and damn it.
And damn it, I've been waiting to talk about it for 2 fucking years.
I really have been.
All right, maybe I'll get it and play it on my own time. That way we can...
What the hell even is the name of that game? House of Ashes.
Or House
I can
of
never
Ash.
remember it. I always just think of Man of Medan, because that name is fucking ridiculous.
Man of Medan. I haven't played that one. The only one of those games I played to completion was Little Hope.
Mm. We played we played House of Ashes. Wasn't there another one too outside of those two?
The Devil in Me. Or is
Oh,
that
we
what it's
didn't play
called?
that one yet. I forgot my wife really wants to play that one.
Oh, you didn't play it?
No.
Oh.
Not yet. So I will put that on the list because we're actually at that time of the year where like the gaming list is kind of growing and there's a lot of high profile releases. So like Zelda Tears of the Kingdom is out there and I haven't gotten that yet. I put in a pre-order for Final Fantasy 16, which is coming out in like, I don't know, 3 weeks or so as of this
It's
recording.
that soon? Damn.
June 23rd, I think, is the release date on that guy.
I hope you like it. I honestly, my interest in it is very low, but
mine went pretty up there. I don't know. I kind of had some talks about that with my friends who are very into like D&D, and by D&D I mean like the fantasy setting D&D, and Game of Thrones and stuff like that. And to me, it seems like if you were to apply that to like Final Fantasy, and I think that's an interesting concept. And before I pre-ordered it, I watched a review, read a review that basically it called it a game with the soul of a PS2 game and the features of a modern action RPG. And I went, well, that sounds good to me.
yeah,
it was a very positive review. So I said, it's a Final Fantasy game. I'm going to get it and play it. It's fine.
I'm just not as much of an action RPG person. I'm more of a traditional RPG person. And I think that's what has me tentative. And I'm not saying I wouldn't like it. I'm going to wait pretty much. And I waited for 15 as well. Like, and I know you weren't big on 15. I didn't think I would be either, but I ended up loving it. So
I might still go back and try 15 again at some point. My biggest issue was the car thing. And I don't know. I wasn't super into the leveling system, and the story wasn't okay. I wasn't into a whole lot of things, but I still think about it from time to time, and I'm like, maybe I should give that a second chance.
yeah.
But then again, I think that about 12, and then I give 12 a second chance.
12
and I don't
was
like it.
12 was not good, and that is personal opinion. So if anyone wants to come at me about it, fuck you. I will say that 15 definitely the ending. Like I bawled like a child. Like it was the ending was very emotional, and I was like, oh no. And then when Florence and the Machine started playing, I was like, oh god, no, my emotions. So.
Oh, Florence and the Machine. No, I mean that's good, and I'm glad you had a good experience with it. And I feel like I might be cheating myself out of a good experience with it, but at the same time, I also had some trouble with the combat and other stuff like that. I mean, so we'll see. Yeah. I'm not promising it to myself, but it's something I consider from time to time.
If you don't like something, you don't like something. It's like how Fleming bought Resident Evil 7, and he was like, nope.
Handle more horror games on my own, man. I don't know.
Hey, man, I have been wanting to replay like all of the Resident Evil games, and I think I'm actually going to start that endeavor, starting back with Resident Evil 0. There's a lot of games, so if ever you want to tag along with me, just let me know, because there's a lot of them, and some of them are also co-op. So,
excuse me. Yeah, I just got it, and I was like, I don't want to be jump scared right now, and decided against it. And I think I got it when it was like full price. And I was like, no, I'll wait until it's like one of those like super cheap games. I'm like, all right, I'll finally do it. But no, I think I'm done with like super jump scare games, especially solo. I don't know. Not really my cup of tea right now.
The only time I will ever play a game like that is with my wife, because she loves the horror games.
Yeah.
But I am on record as we played Until Dawn, got halfway through it, and then I had nightmares the whole night because I, spoiler alert, was under the presumption that it was a serial killer game, and it terrified the shit out of me. And then we got to the point where it became supernatural things, and I was like, oh.
Yeah, that was kind of disappointing.
Yep.
I don't disagree. Especially because like they didn't need to go that route in that game.
No,
like
not even
they could have kept elements of it, but making it, like you said, spiritual or something like that, or like almost like a fantasy horror game at that point. It's like, why'd you do that? You didn't need to go that way.
Yeah, it was like hours and hours of modern horror done well.
Done well, yeah.
You don't need to introduce the thing that strips away the actual fear I had in my heart.
Yep.
And just because I'm afraid, don't do it on my behalf. Don't handicap your game just to make me feel better.
Yeah. I don't disagree. I think that it almost is like one of those like cases where like you have a really good show. I've never watched Lost, but I've seen enough of it because my wife really likes it. Where like it's such a good show for the first couple seasons, and then it just gets weird, and you're just like, or Game of Thrones, same thing, right? Where it's like a great show, and there's like the final season or two.
That. Like Lost is a good example. I think Dexter was another one where that happened, where everyone was like, boy, that show was really good, but what the fuck happened in season whatever?
Yep.
Yeah. And like I just feel like they try to throw curveballs out there or something. It's just like, you didn't need to do that. Like you were like, even if you're gonna end in a predictable way, it's totally fine.
As long as it's done well, that's all that really matters.
I would agree.
I would say TV fails at that a lot more than video games traditionally do, because TV, they're trying to stretch for more seasons as long and as often as they can most of the time. Mm-hmm. With a game, you're delivering a product, man. You should know that there's an end and you got to get to it at some point, and you're designing a proper story around that. So someone made the conscious choice to introduce the Wendigo creatures in that, and it was like, it would have been cooler if there was like a cult of murderous dudes that were in the woods.
Yep. Yeah, I don't disagree with that.
So, I mean, that's my one piece of like video game story advice is like, just keep it consistent. You can throw in some twists and stuff. Like Pinto, like we were just discussing the twist in House of Ashes, which I'm not going to spoil for you.
Thank you.
It's there. I don't know if I want to say I did or did not see it coming, but I found it wholly inoffensive. I think if someone tells it to you, you might find it offensive, but when you experience it, you're kind of like, oh, that's interesting. So I would relay that to Megan as well, which is like, okay, you've heard the twist, but it actually doesn't have that big of an impact. So just enjoy the game for what it is.
I mean, I found the twist at Little Hope to be like very surprising. And I was like, oh, like it all makes sense. And I actually really like how they did it. So hopefully that'll be the case, you know?
Yeah, it's not, I don't think it's a dramatic twist. It's just like an origin thing. Mm-hmm. So the horror that you experience still happens, still out there, still real. You know, it's just whatever, you know, you perceive that twist as is an origin story. So hey man, it doesn't change the spook for me where it came from. And it was fun. Like I think it was thoughtful enough, and I actually like that about those games. Is I think they kind of, it's not an M. Night Shyamalan twist where it's like everything you know is different. It's a twist that just is like, here's another thing to chew on a little bit.
Yeah,
that's fine.
I mean, so. I promise I will play it at some point.
Yeah.
I should put you on the clock. I should just put you and Megan on the clock.
Yeah, well, I mean, I said I was going to play Skyrim, and look what happened there. So,
well,
finish it by the end of August, Pinto.
By the end of August?
Okay. Yes, end of August. You have 3 months.
That's pretty reasonable.
That's reasonable.
It's a game that you can finish in like, you can finish in 1 day, or
probably
it'll
like
be a long
2 or 3
day.
nights.
You can finish in 2 days. Yeah, for sure.
There you go.
But yeah, and I would also say Skyrim, who cares anymore?
I don't. That's for sure.
Every once in a while I think about playing Skyrim, and then I'm like, but I could do so much more with my life. Outside of that one time I played it in VR and got motion sick. So yeah, I don't know. If you're gonna play a game like that, I think the story is better in like a Fallout game. So if you're gonna play something, play Fallout.
Which, again, I have never played a Fallout game.
Play Fallout New Vegas.
I've played none of them.
I think Fallout New Vegas was free on Epic Games. Which
Dude, it doesn't matter if a game is free on Epic Games. I'm never going to use it. Which I don't know why.
I just throw it in the catalog and then it sits there.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure I just saw that it was free like earlier today or yesterday.
Is it free right now? Because if it's free right now, Pinto, you just get it because that is a good game.
Yeah, I'll have to look. I'll double check.
That game is probably in my list of like top 20, top 25 games of all time. So
maybe one of these days we should do a themed episode where we do like do a top 10 list for all of us.
Oh God!
Did you just recommend that we have a topic for one of these podcasts again?
No,
yeah,
we don't do topics.
I'm like the only person that occasionally comes up with a topic anymore.
No, I've had topics recently. That's not just not consistently. It is free, by the way.
It was just given away very recently. So log into Epic Games, download Fallout New Vegas, and play it. There you go. There's a game for you.
But I have to play House of Ashes.
Well,
and The Quarry.
You're doing that one with Megan and The Quarry. I don't know if you're doing that with Megan or not, but
probably not. She's already played it.
I would just do the get on it at least. And honestly, Fallout New Vegas is like a good game to play solo. So, and that's the only way you can really play it. So
yeah,
it's acquired.
I'm doing the exact same thing right now too.
Look at all of us. All right, I think looking at the time, I will end it before we jump to a new unofficial topic or anything. Thanks, everybody, for listening. Appreciate it. If you guys did not go over to Epic Games by June 1st, you can get Fallout New Vegas for free.
This
which
episode
is awesome.
will be out after June 1st, so...
Oh, well,
hope you did it.
Hope you did it.
Hope you did it. Otherwise, you missed out.
Yep. Well, anyway, thanks so much for sticking around with us and listening into all of our thoughts about these recent games we've been playing. You can check us out at joypadpod.com. There is a link tree there of our social medias, which we don't use, as well as our YouTube, which we do use. So check that out because that's how you can see the podcast in camera form, and you can also check out some of our recent Let's Plays. Well, I guess they're not really Let's Plays. They're more just like plays.
I mean,
we play,
yeah.
Right
now, it's the boys playing Raft and the whole gang playing the Outlast Trials.
Yes. So feel free to go check that out. Otherwise, I think that's basically it. So I'll let Tom find a way to end this episode.
Hey, if you've ever wanted to experience what it's like to go to a haunted house with me, and I am a cynical bastard in a haunted house, watch us play the Outlast Trials. I honestly just want to say we have discussed a lot of different games, a lot of different ways of playing games. So for you as a listener, I would say play the game that you find makes you have the most joyful experience and play it the way that gives you the most joy. So
FPM.
With that, enjoy your FPM and stay joyful. Goodbye.
Goodbye.